Good morning. Today is Friday, April 9th, 2021. It's amazing how popular the Netflix show Shtisel is. So if you are one of the 6 people left on planet Earth who is not watching it, it is a series of shows. It's now in its 3rd season. It's set in Mea She'arim in Yerushalayim. And it's about an extended family, the Shtisel family, of Haredi Jews. It's about their loves and losses, their ups, their downs, their faith, their clashes with modernity. It is compelling. And it is addictive. If you're watching it, the 3rd season recently came out. You know what I mean. If you are not watching it, I strongly recommend it. Start from the beginning and watch it through. But the question is, what accounts for the success of a show about an insular Jewish community who even we Orthodox Jews seem to have so little in common? So allow me to share 3 ideas about this show. The first is the writing and the acting in this show is superb. The characters are funny, tragic, irritating, bombastic, self-righteous, stubborn, arrogant, infuriating, and lovable, often all at the same time. Every one of them has moments of wisdom and insight and moments of obtuse self-blindness. It is superbly well done. That's number 1. Number 2, I'm sure this is true for each of us. I have my own personal connections to different parts of the story. From the scenery, much of which I'm very familiar with, to many of the plot lines and topics that are discussed. So just to give one minor, insignificant detail that doesn't give away any surprises, I am not part of this Haredi world, but I have been a frequent visitor to Mea She'arim, the location of this series, over the past 50 years, and I continue to go whenever I am in Israel. And there's been recently a minor running subplot about a cheesecake from Briesel's, about which the major character says, if you haven't tasted Briesel's cheesecake, you have never had Briesel's cheesecake in your life. I know Briesel's. I have a connection to Briesel's going back more than 40 years, 50 years almost. I lived on Briesel's. Briesel's is a bakery in Mea She'arim. It's not a fancy bakery for tourists. It is a Heimische bakery. It has been in business for decades. The products are excellent and they never change. It is a time capsule of a bakery. When I was single and attending yeshiva in Israel over 40 years ago, every Friday I would go to Mea She'arim to do some shopping for Shabbos. And I would always stop at Briesel's for a cinnamon roll for Shabbos. And I still go back whenever I am there for the same item. And it tastes exactly the same. Perfect. That's Briesel's. It's an icon of Mea She'arim. Okay. And I'm sure each of us who watch it have our own individual connections to the plot, to the scenery, etc. But there is a third reason for the success of Shtisel, beyond the Orthodox world, beyond the Jewish world. And it is an important truth. People are people. A group can appear as different from me as is possible to imagine. And yet we face the same issues in life, the same emotions, the same ups, the same downs, the same crises, the same tragedies. Ultimately, the success of Shtisel is about our shared humanity. Permit me to share a story. I shared this before. It was one of the most meaningful events in my life. In the summer of 2014, you may remember, Israel went to war in Gaza in the aftermath of the kidnapping of 3 teen Jewish boys who were later found to have been murdered. That summer, I had the privilege to be sent by a DAF to Israel to visit. I went to visit soldiers in hospitals. I went to support soldiers near the front line. I went to visit Shiva houses. All of people that I did not know. And my message was the same everywhere I went, that I've been sent by a DAF. I represent a congregation in Montreal. I represent the Jewish community of Montreal in telling you that we stand with you, that what happens to you happens to us, that we are concerned, that we are worried, and here we are standing with you. I'm grateful to ADAF for sending me, and my visits were received with such emotion and depth, not because of me, but because of the message that I brought from you. One day, my mother came with me. My mother, she should live and be well, lives in Yerushalayim. And one day, she came with me on my visits. We went to Barzilai Hospital in Ashdod and visited some wounded soldiers. And then we went for a different kind of a visit. Not exactly related to the war that was going on, but while I was there, just before I'd come there was a young man, a Haredi young man from Mea She'arim. His name was Rabbi Avraham Wallace, and he was killed in a construction accident. It appeared that he was killed because he was Jewish. In other words, it was a terror attack, but it was an individual incident in Yerushalayim. It certainly did not receive the publicity because of everything else that was going on. But his family, he was married, he had several young children. His family was sitting Shiva in their home in Mea She'arim. And my mother suggested we should go to visit that Shiva home also. And so we did. This Shiva home was in one of the back alleys of Mea Sha'arim, the part you don't see as a tourist, but the part that is straight out of a scene from Shtisel. It's another world. It's a world that is profoundly spiritual and idealistic. It is a world that is largely devoid of materialism or self-absorption. And I went to this home. It was actually on the Mirpeset, on the balcony. It was summer. When I came, there were no other guests. So there was the father of the young man who was killed and a couple of the brothers of this young man. And I sat down with his father. The two of us, he and I, could not have looked more different from each other. He is a Haredi Jew. He was dressed in a fur shtreimel and in a long black and gold robe. I was wearing a pink polo shirt and khaki pants. And we sat together on his balcony. Because we are both Torah Jews in our own way. We're both fathers and grandfathers. And we are approximately the same age, he and I. And I expressed to him, on behalf of all of us at Adat, that we are with you, that we mourn together with you. He specifically asked me to tell each person in Montreal how grateful he is to the Montreal community for sending me to visit him. We exchanged words of Torah. I shared a certain insight with him. He shared a Torah idea of a similar nature with me. We spoke for a while. We sat for a while. We cried for a while. It was an incredible moment I will never forget. Two people sitting together in the aftermath of tragedy. So different, from such different worlds, yet still so deeply connected. That is the power of Shtisel. There are problems in the Haredi world, just as there are problems in our Jewish world. There are problems with the Haredi lifestyle and outlook, and some of those problems have been exacerbated over the past year. And they're not going away. Shtisel is a critical show, especially for Jews to watch now, to remind us that beyond the externals, beyond the mannerisms and the rhetoric, there is so much we share as Jews, as humans. This show is just what we need in our lives today. And so I urge you, not on Shabbos, but either before or after, if you have not yet done so, please watch Shtisel and feel the connection, notwithstanding the differences. My friends, I want to wish you a great day, and I look forward to seeing all of you soon in person.